Bonjour. Je m'appelle Bashir Lazhar. I am substituting for your teacher, Martin Lachance, who, as you have been told...
I saw the play in French and was blown away by it because it dealt with these issues of religion, intolerance, displacement, teaching, racism. Those are pretty universal themes. And yet the play is so utterly Canadian in its essence.
The play is about a substitute teacher who is from Algeria and is living in Montreal, and he comes to substitute a class that has experienced a traumatic event at their school. But the plot is also about his own trauma and how these two worlds kind of start to intermingle and overlap.
For the first probably 5-6 rehearsals, we didn't touch the text at all. Not at all. We just explored motifs, themes, mostly through movement, mostly through the body. We did get help from music. We let music speak. And then also objects. Whether it's a chair, whether it's a jacket, sometimes it was a piece of paper. And then gradually, through the movements we had, the imagery that we created, we went then circuitously to the text again. So that I think it allowed us to actually approach this text so that it wouldn't dictate us, but we would let it more come to the surface through the images that we already had.
It starts with very specific places in the text that Pete had sort of pointed out and said, why don't we put some music on, and what would you do with this scene? And so it starts right away with the body. And then the text and the scenario and how the actors continue to weave those things together, it becomes another language that can parallel the text, but it has its own entity and its own integrity right off the top. So how those things become the story and the staging and the direction that Pete then gives it with the collaboration of the actors becomes a conversation that builds the whole play.
The physicality was integrated throughout, rather than us being in a situation of realism or a realistic scene or a naturalistic scene and then shifting into a physically expressive or expressionistic scene. It was integrated, so you didn't know when he was in memory, when it was a real flashback, when it was something that might have been fantasy that was actually happening in the classroom, because the shifts were so rapid and so playful. So I think the integration of that was different than I'm used to achieving as an actor and processing as an actor.
After which there is a clause separated by commas. Then we return to, I was building a tomb. Form. I would be delighted if you would cover your mouth when you yawn. Tomb, of course, has a silent B. It was a little trap. I like little traps very much. Moving on.
The words need to be everywhere. So as they need to be everywhere, we needed to make everything blackboards. The floor, the wall, the suit, and that drive to write on himself, to write on everything is sort of almost hopeless, because in many ways it is hopeless, but it becomes hopeful because it's the only thing there is. The words provide him anchor in this wild sea of his horrible story that he's living.
What's happening? Saeed! Why are you crying? Hello? What? Why when I need my courage now? One more time? All right, but it's the last time. Go ahead, talk!
When we toured to Europe, the reception was really positive. They focused on a lot of things that we maybe didn't expect them to. Language was a big thing. They really picked up on how dynamic that was and how interesting, looking at how it began as a French play and how that was weaved into our production. Also, the issues of tolerance Canada is frequently viewed as this very open country, really idealized by a lot of Europeans. So to look at it critically, how immigration isn't always fair and how bureaucracy works was really interesting.
Bashir is a mystery. He's an enigma. There's all kinds of stuff going on deep below the surface. He's struggling with a lot of grief. It was mining the wealth of that emotional experience that I found incredibly invigorating.
Bashir Lazhar is on the move, and he's also stuck. I think it's that paradox that people relate to. There is a root there. He comes from somewhere, but he's been uprooted. Can't go back. He's on the move, and he's stuck. And I think that's very much of our time.
I don't want to be stronger. I don't want what I wanted. I don't want work. I don't want papers. I don't want status. I don't want peace. I want my family. Scared, shaking, sick, sweating, aching with migraines. I want my family. I want them so I can pretend one more time to pretend. To pretend that I can save them one last time. Not emotional, you know. How? What more was I supposed to do? Bare my soul in front of the judge?